Okay, so it's 4:44 on the 14th. So it's Happy Valentine's Day. If you want to keep up with all of their consumerism holidays. So yesterday I ran to go get water yesterday afternoon and I went into the grocery store. It was just full. You can buy flowers. You can buy chocolate covered strawberries. Like I think there was like 12 of them, $30. You know, another thing too, when I was going to get water and I decided I wanted to get a red pepper and a cucumber for a recipe. And as I'm walking out, I see a bag of gold potatoes and they have a bag of red and they have a bag of Brussels sprouts. And Brussels sprouts says 2.49 and each of the potatoes say 1.49. And so I think, oh, these must be on sale. So I'll get a little bag of potatoes. I'll make something with these little gold potatoes because they were little tiny round ones. And so I go up and get my stuff, go and I'm putting in the water and I decide like, man, that seemed kind of expensive. So I start looking at the receipt. The bag of potatoes, this little tiny bag of potatoes was $5. So I go back to the thing and I said, these are supposed to be $1.59 or a dollar, yeah, $1.59 or something like that. And he goes, no, that's per pound. And I said, oh, well, I don't want them then. I mean, you can go buy 5 pounds, you can go buy 10 pounds of 10 pounds of gold potatoes at Costco for that price. You can buy 5 pounds at Winco for $3 or $4. And it's like, no way. I spend $5. You know, it's, well, these are 3 pounds of potatoes, and it's $1.59 a pound. I'm like, well, no thanks. So I said that's very misleading the way it's marked back there. Well, it's always by a pound. I'm like, okay. So, so I got my money back, even though it's not in my account yet, and I didn't get those potatoes. But it's just like, oh my god! And I decide to like walk past the chocolate chips. I can't even freaking believe it, man. My chocolate chips used to be like $1 to buy. Now, it's somewhere $20 for a little package of chocolate chips, and a lot were $7 and $5. It's like this is so ridiculous. I cannot even believe how ridiculous that how. And then when I'm standing there in the line, you know they have the candy rack right there. So I was looking at all the different candies. A candy bar is $3 now. $3.29 for a freaking candy bar. Jesus Christ. It used to be a quarter when I was a kid. It's like, give me a fucking break, man. Give me a fucking break. That like, you're going to try and convince us that's because of inflation? Jesus Christ. It's just corporate markup. That's all it is. And it's outrageous, man. And it is crimes against the people who have to buy it, man. It is such bogus crap. And all these corporation stores. The thing about Winco, but Costco is a big corporation. But the thing about Winco is it's one of those the employee-owned grocery stores. So and they get good produce, and they aren't real expensive. Like it's a reasonably priced grocery store, but I just have to drive further. But oh my God, I cannot believe that 3 pounds of potatoes for $5. So anyways, I'm in a very ranty kind of mood. I'm in a, and it's, you know, I keep seeing these videos like, you got to be in a good mood. You got to really feel good right now. I mean, this is a big time. This is the gates are opening to your new life. And if you're going to be all negative and feeling bad, then that's the life you're going to stick in. It's like, well, I really don't understand how I can not be affected by the stuff going on in my own life. I'm not even talking about the weirdo energy. That's intense. And there is something with the sounds. There is something weird with the sounds outside. And then yesterday I was outside and I would start recording. Then all of a sudden I could hear the sound. But in the video, somebody said, well, I can't hear anything except the birds. But it keeps sounding like, I don't know what else to describe it, except for like if you were close to the airport and an airliner was coming in. And then I saw another person who was doing a video and they were getting the sound really good over by wherever they are. I don't even know where they are. And they said this weird sound was going on for like 4 minutes. And I've talked about these weird sounds for years. But there's been a lot here. Even last night when I went to bed, I kept thinking, am I hearing explosions? Is this how it's going to go down? There's going to be explosions in the skies. And and the dogs kept jumping up and barking and wanting to go outside, jumping up and barking and wanting to go outside. And I don't know if his sound is just carrying really weird, because like the neighbor, like yesterday, the neighbor was down at his greenhouse and I guess he likes techno. And it was just on repeat, this techno. And the dogs were going crazy. And it was so loud. I even tried to pick up on it in the video, and you couldn't hear it. And it's like, how in the world? It is so loud. And then every time he drives up his driveway, even the Amazon was a couple driveways away, which is acres. Like, it was pretty far. And the dogs were out there going crazy. Every time this guy goes up his driveway, they go crazy. And I know the sound is carrying weird. And the sky is so weird. Yesterday, when I left to go get the water, it was like these ruffles all through the sky. And the sun was super bright in the middle of all these ruffles. It was really weird. And then there was other, like if you looked out, then there was more weird shaped clouds all over the place. But I saw the lady from the Nibiru thing, the one that talks about the maps and stuff. God, I've got so many things rushing in my head. And yesterday I forgot to say some things, and it's hard to keep up with all this stuff. So she said that's what they're trying to hide, is that we have these other planetary systems merging with us. And I've said before, I've said, it looks like there's a few skies up there, and there's some kind of merging, but it's not like in the physical, it's dimensional. So it's different. Everybody thinks of everything as being super physical, which I was just listening to with more stuff on Jeffrey. And I'll just say something about this real quick, is because not only were they really trying to find people who were psychic and stuff, they were very focused on that because they wanted to have somebody who would talk to the other side for them and give them information. But then they also, which I've already said, that the government has been looking for that stuff for a long time. Even in schools, they test to try and find kids that have abilities. And I was just one of the lucky ones who, my guides told me don't do that test. And so the, I've got the allergies. They just get worse and worse. Because not only were they looking for that, which a whole thing has come out about the 20, what I was talking about yesterday. And they were also selling, he was getting stuff. It was a huge, huge thing. Just like when you think about how huge the laundry problems are, it was that about data, let's say, about our data. It's as big in the trade industry as you can imagine because of what I was talking about the other day. That's part of it. But there's a lot to it. And, okay, so some of it is, like I've been saying, we all have a makeup of our code. And they are able to, it's not like they're able to read the code and understand it, but they are in the job, in the process of trying to manipulate it. Like, okay, well, if we take this, what happens? If we take that, what happens? But they know that we are all different from different places. And they're trying to isolate. I had one of my sister-in-laws, she worked for the one scientist guy who, if you remember, the Unabomber was sending out all that stuff, and he was blowing. This is one of the guys that got blown. He got one was open. He got his hands blown off. So she worked for that guy, and they were in the job of isolating. What they were told, or what supposedly they were working on, was isolating Down syndrome and Alzheimer's in the DNA sequence. And it might have been a third thing, but that was, and the people who were out there doing that, they think like they're doing something good for mankind. It's like you're doing something that they're trying to understand how to isolate certain structures so that they can manipulate it. And so they had, their baby farm. So they had that going. They had buying sequences and having the sample so that they could take from that sample. And so then that's crazy too, huh? Because you think, wasn't that just like a little swab? But okay, so if you swab and all that, you could take off little tiny pieces. So that little swab could be worth a lot of money to all these. And it's so crazy too, is that they were paying to give it. You should have been getting paid. should have flipped that shit, because that's like, it's mental. So, so they were, and that's why, like when I was talking to my sister who had done it, and I said, well, what about some of our heritage? She said, yeah, but everybody's very different. And you don't have exactly the same as your siblings, because like I've been saying, your DNA, your code is who you are as a being of light. This is your code of what it is, and this is just a byproduct. It's just a small part. And not only that, I think that they focus on that in your results, but there's way more that is bigger. And I think they even may influence that. They may, beef it up. They may say like, oh, it's this and this and this, but really they are just like guessing or whatever. Because they're trying to make it seem like that's what you're doing, but that's not what you're doing. You're giving up your code to them, and they are taking it and creating. And the thing is they're very three-dimensional. And I don't know if it's just because that's their world. I don't even know what the thing is with like Jeffrey. Like I was talking about the other day, not all of these beings are eternal. I mean, everybody's eternal, but not all of them have been here as long. There's a certain group that have been here a long ass time. And so, and I don't know if he's one of them. He could be, but he could not be. I don't know. Yeah, I think you need those sunglasses, those glasses to look through and see who's who. Which somebody was talking about. It's thermal. Like there's she was finding out like if you use a thermal camera or of some sort, then you can pick up, because we put out heat, but not all the other beings don't put out heat. And so like reptiles and stuff like that, they don't put out heat. So maybe that's what's something with these glasses, so that you can recognize what is the same as you. So I don't know about him. So, and there's way more information about definitely that was not that body was not deceased. I was like, no, he's out there. And it's so crazy. But, maybe, I don't even know. Like, how, I don't even know. Man, because how do you get away with all this stuff? Which apparently the word on the street or on X or whatever, some platforms or something, is Pam, the Bondi. She, it was a trap. So when they sent all that stuff out, they were watching where the different politicians, where they searched. And so it was a big trap. So anyways, that's supposed to be a whole thing that's happening right now too. So that they exposed themselves. But that's what a lot of this stuff is about, is to create a lure and bring them out of their crevices. Just like you turn off the lights and the roaches come out. So it's the same kind of thing. So they're luring them out so that they can get them easier. But okay, so back on this Jeffrey situation. So I don't know if it is that their world is just a three-dimensional world they exist in. And so they're very curious about the other world because they're very focused on it, but they're very primitive. Like they give but then also they're indebted to certain entities. Which, oh, this was something I was going to say yesterday that I forgot to say when I started talking about the 144. Because I heard those girls, she's talking about the 144. She's telling all this stuff in the fallen age. So all these people who are the dark, she's saying, oh, well, they're all fallen angels. And all of the other ones, it's like, the whole thing she starts going into about God, God, God. And I keep hearing these people. They keep on talking about this stuff, spiritual stuff and stuff. And then they start talking about God. Well, God. And well, I talked to God. And God did this. And God said that. And it's like, what God do you have over you? Like, what are you talking about? There is not one singular God over us. It's like, so I don't even know. I mean, it's like all these people, God, it's God, God did it, God. It's like, okay, well, you think that there's a God over you in control. There's not a God over you. It's just, you believe what you want to believe. I don't know what to tell you. But so, these beings that have been here for so freaking long, that they are very focused on the supernatural, like trying to understand. And they're sitting there making CERN. They're trying to bust through the firmament. They're like all this stuff. And then they're looking for the psychic people so that they can communicate. Like they're all, trying to maneuver that because they're kind of like stuck because they don't evolve. All they do is consume themselves by controlling others and taking what they can get. And that is not an evolution. In order to evolve, you have to grow, and that moves you towards the light. Well, they just stay down in the dark. They don't move up towards the light because they're driven by this darker side of themselves, and they surround themselves with more darkness. So they don't evolve, but it's like they're always trying to reach out. They're always trying to understand it. So anyways, Jeffrey was getting this, you think that the money behind some of this stuff, which I would say probably the harvest is probably a part of this too. Because I've always wondered, like, how could they need this many kittens? Like, what are you talking about? And which there's Bijou Phillips, which her husband is Danny Masterson. He's he's behind bars for his treatment of, his was treatment of women, I think. I don't know that it was kids, but it could have been some. But so now her dad I'm pretty sure her dad is the one that had the relationship with his daughter. And I think her name's Mackenzie. She was in a show that was with Valerie Bertinelli and can't remember the mom's name, but it was a single mom and two daughters. She was the older daughter. And I'm pretty sure that's Bijou's stepsister, because he had a lot of relationships, but one was with Mackenzie, and it was very intimate, let's say, for a long, long time. Like, she was an adult even. And so, yeah. So, and then her mom also, I can't remember. Somebody was saying that she was from the Mamas and the Papas, but whatever. Bijou was born with small kidneys, and she had to be in the NICU and be on dialysis when she was really little. She's already had one transplant, and now she is asking for people to donate one because she is desperate for another one. So this whole thing with the kid, and then I mean the whole thing about like Selena, I'm wondering, like, is that when she passed? Because there was that whole thing about her needing one, and then that girl, which I can't remember her name, but I've talked about this before, was at a party at a hotel, disappears. They find her in the freezer the next day when her mom comes raising hell, like, where's my daughter? Let's look at the cameras, get the cops here. Like, it was a big old friggin' thing. And they find her in the freezer, but she just so happened to be missing some parts at the same night that in the same city that Selena, who's best friends with Bill Murray, who owned the hotel, supposedly got some new ones. But but Selena's not the original. And then there's a whole thing about that, I guess in the files and stuff, it's, yeah, people are coming out with the, oh, they ended her to control Justin because her and Justin were, people are saying like they were soulmate, like they were very, and then there's a whole thing about their baby was sold to the K's. So stuff is so freaking weird and so dark. And so but the way that they are trying to make these certain kind of, like, this master being or something, like they're trying to do something, but they're so three-dimensional. And it's so everything they're doing, if they're trying to create like some superior being or whatever, but everything's three-dimensional. And the trippy thing about it is the physical isn't real. And if they're trying to create some kind of a sleeve being, a being that you can just, go into, so that you can continue, as these other people, they've been around for a long, long time. So if these other people are trying to figure out how they can stay around for a long, long time by using all of this data to create some type of being or something that you can, kind of like a CLONA, but it's a compilation so that you can take all the best factors and move into it and maybe have more abilities. Even they may be trying to get stuff from a certain code because they think that that's going to elevate them. But the thing is the it's the mind over matter. Like the reason we're going to start living so long is because we are going to be mind over matter. We are going to understand that we are not what we have been taught to believe. That we are able to, like, we are able to restructure ourselves and stuff too. So so that's going to be a part of, as we continue in the elevation to reach that point. That's why med beds and stuff will work and stuff, because you have to get to this. To me, it seems like you have to get to this point of understanding that the physical isn't as physical as we were led to believe. And so it is so much about mind over matter. And there's people who are really working on a lot of this, like kinetic stuff, telekinesis, and doing all sorts of stuff. People are really working on trying to train themselves and do different kinds of gifts and stuff like that. I saw some kind of class thing where people are using their mind to stick forks to the wall. So that's the whole thing, is once we develop ourselves to be able to understand, oh, the physical isn't real. I keep trying to use my mind to restructure myself, like without the med beds, just take away all my tattoos. They don't exist anymore. Straighten my spine. I've been doing that for years. But all of these things is like using your mind because it's not real. But the things that we have in the physical are to, it was kind of like so that we could have signs and signals to know that what is what we needed to work on. And then plus when you're coming into a place that's so toxic, to have a barometer, to have a meter, to have some kind of a guidance, so that we could tell that we needed certain things. Our body was going to communicate with us. So there's like a reason why we are structured the way that we are, but we are developing out of that and going to become more of we're gonna go more towards our eternal side. We're gonna be more like focusing on our soul and understanding, oh, our soul is eternal. This is an illusion. This is, and it only is three-dimensional if you believe it's three-dimensional. And so, but it is very, it's very, it's like a complex kind of re-looking, what is that? Reevaluating, like seeing yourself very different than what your mind has been told. So it's like a big jump, and it takes focus. Like you have to really focus on your beliefs, and your indoctrination or programming will keep pulling you back to your program. So it's a big program to break free from. But it's like these people are like more stuck there in that, because they're always trying to create something in the physical, and they're always like, I don't know, they're very physically focused. They're very three-dimensionally focused on things. But anyways, so it's coming out now with them, like when you think of like he was making so much money off of like dark mail, that he sounds like the investors into what he was really working on in his, farm LABs, that that had huge investments, huge. So there were people who knew, and they were being a part of it. And there was a really sicko freaking podcast I saw yesterday, and it was what is that guy? The guy's a Democrat. He's a very liberal. I can't think of his name. My brother used to watch him. He's very liberal, and he was interviewing this guy, and this guy kept saying, "I don't see what the big deal is about eating babies. Like, we got so many, people don't want them, so why not?" He was dead ass serious. It was so disturbing. And the other guy, he's like, because you just don't. Like, what are you, I mean, why would you think that's okay? And the other guy's, tell me why. Tell me why. Give me a reason why that's not okay. And the other guy's just like, I don't know, it seemed like the liberal podcaster guy seemed to kind of be thrown, like, what are you talking about? Like, and the other guy's like, well, I mean, really, like, give me a real reason. And it's like, oh, I don't know, just because you just shouldn't eat, like, what, like, you're one of them, you're not one of us. And so, yeah, I don't know, this guy keeps coming into my mind, though. I saw this guy who was talking about his astral projection. Oh, yeah, because Amy sent me this video. So this guy was, he's new to astral projection, which he did give a warning that, you're attached to a silver cord. You go too far away from it, then it can break, or you can just never be able to return to your body, which I've said for a long time. This astral projecting, it's like you're going down in a realm. Like, we come into this realm in this like spacesuit for a reason. It's like a protection. And so all these people who are going out and astral projecting, You are leaving your protection. You're leaving your armor. It's like a turtle going out of its shell and then going out and traveling around because they want to see things out there. But there's a whole realm out there of beings that are out there in that realm. And so you're like a turtle going out with no shell. And so it seems dangerous. I mean, like when you think about like going in the ocean and going down without the protective gear that you need. And so to me, I look at it like that. Like when I came out of my body, then it was, I wasn't doing it on purpose. And I've come out a couple of times. One of the times I didn't come out all the way, but it's not something I'd be like, well, I mean, I did there for a minute. I think, well, I've come out easy, so maybe I should try this astral projection. But I always just get this feeling of like, no, it seems super dangerous. And I would watch videos and stuff, and that's where I had seen that one guy talking about, he did it all the time and done it for years. And then when he started noticing and becoming aware, oh, Archie is sitting here. This is one of the things that's getting to me is like the dogs have got to be on me all the time. It's like, I feel like I'm a fucking plug thing. And they're all just plugged into me, sucking the life out of me, man. Oh, this is hurting me. I cannot sit like this, dude. I know you think it's comfortable because you just have to be on top of me. Nobody gives a crap. Oh my God. Oh, my hip. Oh, it starts hurting so much. It's like the same thing as like when I'm sleeping. It's always got to be on top of me. Oh my God. And it gets to me. That's one thing. And then they've spread out all over the whole bed and then put me on one little edge, and they got to push right up against me because they got to be touching me. Everybody's got to be touching me all the time. It's like stuff like that. It's like getting to me. And so that's what I'm saying. It's like it's hard to be in a good mood all the time. And then this stuff with Max, like this is really, I mean, it seems really shallow or whatever, but it's really, Stella's on the move. Like as soon as I push somebody off, then it's like a whole fucking thing. God, my hip. And it's just like, God, this pain is shooting up my side. Oh, that hurts. And then Max with this, like, he cannot, like, his food is almost liquefied. He can't swallow it. He can't swallow water. Everything is the biggest mess, and it's nonstop. Every meal is like a huge ordeal. Every time he eats, it's the biggest freaking mess. And he wants to drink and drink and drink and drink, and he just turns all the water into slimy, pussy, gross water. And then as soon as you put down the water, he bolts in. And so none of the dogs, it's like I've got to be like a water monitor all day long. I've got to be cleaning the water, getting the water. Oh, I've started putting waters up. So when another dog wants water, I bring it down because he'll go from water to water to water. It doesn't matter if there's 4 waters down. He will go hit every single one and turn them into slime. And I don't even know. I only thing I can be is like, because he can't swallow. So nothing is going down. And then also he's so super lethargic. He just wants to like lay around, I think, because as soon as he starts exerting himself, he can't breathe very well. Except for the one, I mean, the days where he just takes off, but he's slow. He's real slow. And so anyways, that's getting to me. And just a lot of the stuff just is like, it's just sucking the life out of me. The dog, like I said before, it's like the dogs are like more of takers. They're not giving back. And they are and I don't know if it's the energy that they're feeling, why they're also desperate to be on top of me all the time. And it's a competition. Who can be closer? And it's like, it just is, man, it's getting to me, man. So that's what I'm saying is like, it's hard to be in a good mood all the time. And even this morning where I'm sitting there thinking like, you know, I'm not very good at just giving and giving and giving. But, you know, it's not an energy kind of, it's not the kind of energy where you're getting anything back. You are just giving and giving and giving. And it is like, and I was like, okay, so I've got to figure out to give more to myself. I've got to, like, I'm just going to have to, like, on some days, just take off by myself, go to the thrift store, walk around, just do something where I'm doing something and it's for me to give back, which I don't even know what it is. I mean, I have these chairs in there I want to recover. And every time I go in there, it's like my hands start feeling like frozen. So then it's hard to want to sit in there and sew and cut things and try and figure out how to create patterns and stuff because it's cold. And then, and it's not all set up. I mean, it's set up with a big old boat and tractors and stuff. It's not all set up for like sewing room. So I don't know, just everything just feels like it's just draining me right now. I feel like every time I try and walk somewhere, I'm just blocked. It's like we have this little tiny space we're all sharing, and then they are like closing in on me. And it's just, man, it's just getting to me. Some days it just really gets to me. And, uh, and then I don't want to go and load them up and go to the DOGPARK. Is he can't even get around there. And then it's, I know, I mean, they have a good enough time just to go out here. It's like a PARK out here. But right now I'm trying to not let these two little ones out because they just take off and it's not very safe and they don't stay at any kind of boundary. And the other day when the trainer was here, I told him what was going on about that. And he said that's what's good about those collars. And so I ordered one yesterday because the one that he has is like super duper. But him and his they are work for the police for training dogs. And then they have their own business of training people's dogs. And then they also have their business of, where you board and train. And then they also board dogs, which I know one thing is like if I were to have to board, Stella does not like it. But Ruthie, she loves this guy. Like, oh my gosh. I don't know if she just loves men or if she just loves him so much. Because I know she loves my brother. And so, and she's not, well, I mean, she's been around some guys at the place that I've been talking about. But, yeah, and she loves this guy. And so I was like, oh, well, easily I could, if I had to go somewhere, I could leave her there. I don't know how much it is. Probably not cheap. But anyways, so he was, he went and got the one where we were, when we were doing her training the other day. She was just off leash. She was just walking around. And then I was doing recall. And then he was like doing things to get her to go off and then getting her to come back and stuff. So we were working a lot on that. And then he said when she doesn't come, that's when those are handy. And so he said that you hit them with a little thing, which they come with more things. So it's not just like a little shock. There's also a vibration one. There's also a noise. So we have different ones. He said she is really good. Like all I have to do is do the vibration. So it makes a vibration and then she starts like, what is that? But if you do that along with no, then they start being like, okay, so then they start listening because they start like Pavlov's theory or, they start associating no with, ooh, I don't like this. So, so I'm going to do the vibration because he's like, I think she'll be fine just on the vibration. And so, I got one off of Amazon, like, cause the ones that they have are $200 and the one I got was like $30 or something. And then I think I'm going to try it with, Archie. So I'm going to do hers. And then if I end up needing to keep him all the time, I may just get Archie his own. But I may try and do some training to get him to realize not to go. Because even my brother the day before the training, and that guy coming and saying, I was telling him about that the dogs keep running off and I need to put up some more fencing or I need to do something. And he said, well, you ought to look into those wireless ones or shock collars or something that keep them so that they don't go outside their perimeter, because he said they just seem to think they don't listen to come back, and they seem to think that the whole neighborhood's their yard and go wherever they want because there's no boundary. So and it's dangerous. And and then the next day when the trainer came, and he was like saying the same thing. So so I'm gonna try it on her. It's supposed to come today, and start having her wear it, because I think if she'll stay, but still these two go off together, and Max doesn't listen for shit. So I'm gonna try with Archie. So I may get him his own, but that's what I'm gonna try and see what I can do, and see if I can't get him to stay in our area without just because they're trained to. So anyways, that's what I'm gonna be working on with them. But anyways, that they have a yard that is plenty of space, and they have all each other to play with. So I just don't want to get, like make that like, oh, well, we'll go, because it's an ordeal each time that I go. And I'm trying to get, because it's a walk. I really like the one that I went to over in Bellingham. You just pulled up and the gate was right there. This is a walk. You got to walk through the whole park. There's been several of these that I've gone to. You got to walk through the whole park to get to the dog park where it's fenced in. It's like, oh, man. So anyways, when Ruthie goes crazy, she takes off. They all go in different directions. And then I'm trying to wrangle them all in to sit there and get them to go. And they all go at different paces. And so it's just an ordeal. I just don't have it in me right now. It's just like I feel so drained. And I don't know how much of it is the energy that is making me even feel more intense. Like everything feels so intense, and I'm just feel so irritated and so irritable, and I get so exhausted by somebody being on top of me all the time, and it's like being demanded of all the time, and my body is sore, my body is hurting, it's aching. And so I don't know, this whole thing, link you, and then you hear these people like, we're in this big transition and all this stuff of going in, like I know we're, I know that there's all this stuff going on, and know all this planetary, all this shifting and everything. But yeah, I wasn't thinking it was going to be so painful. Like, man, it's so, especially like when you've gone through lots of healing and stuff for 10 years. I mean, there's people that haven't even started yet, which I'm seeing people still losing their minds. And so, but you would think, like, when you've been healing a long time, well, it won't bother me, this shifting, it'll probably feel better. Well, I'm exhausted, and got the allergies all the time, got some other stuff going, and then these aches and weird feelings in my body. It's like, man, this is intense. And I saw somebody say, well, the ones that are feeling that are the ones that are going into the higher thing. I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, we'll know when we get there, I guess. Maybe when you're feeling real down and negative and stuff, it's hard to be feeling like, well, I guess I'll be in the good one. And so it's like, maybe I'm gonna be stuck in the go in for more lessons. Fuck if I know. I just sit there and do all this stuff and think I'm going toward, but it's like, where is it? It's like, so I don't know. They're supposed to be from, I think, yesterday to the 20th. It's supposed to be really big in the astrological. It has not aligned like the alignment in 6,000 years or something. And I don't even remember whatever the last one. I mean, 6,000 years ago, and who knows, because everything's a lie anyways. So there was something else coming into my mind when I was saying that. 6,000, the alignment. I don't remember, but I have this other thing coming in my mind right now. And the actor who had died. So it's James Vanderbleek or something like that. He's from Dawson's Creek. I kept saying I thought maybe like Gilmore Girls or something, but it's Dawson's Creek. So he was somebody who, like, I wasn't raised on Dawson's Creek. I mean, I was a grown up at working at that point. But all of the people who were raised watching that show, then they're all very sad or whatever. And he had gotten diagnosed just like a couple years ago for stage 3 of rectal, and he colon, but he so he didn't make it, and which is so irritating because they don't give the people the right things to make it. And he has a wife and 6 kids, and his kids are, I think the oldest one is just like a young teenager, and then they all go down from there. But the but anyway, so he ended up becoming broke. His treatments and stuff were costing a lot of money, and he was even selling memorabilia and stuff to try and continue his treatments or whatever, which is just, it's outrageous, man, how much they charge. But see, that's the game here. That's the whole game. And so he didn't make it, and he left his family who was broke. So everybody, because he was very liked, apparently, he was a really just kind person, funny and happy person, and which is strange because a lot of times you get the big C because you have something heavy on your heart, and when it's something when it's in the lower chakra and when it's in your root, then it probably is something that's very deep and something that's really you were really holding on to. So that's the importance of this cleansing your soul. This isn't just this is cleansing your soul. You got to look at past lives and stuff. So whatever his situation was, but it's a big play in things that are happening. So I mean, his role was his role, and so all these people started donating, and they had put up a GoFundMe trying to raise like 500,000. Well, they're at 1.5 million right now or something like that because they're getting so many donations. But there's people like Zoe Zeldana. She decided she's going to pay the family $2,500 a month for until the kids are grown up, I guess, or she's going to keep paying for the wife too. I'm not sure. Steven Spielberg, which I was like, God, that's weird that he would be doing any, like, you would think he'd be long gone with Tom, but I don't know, because he's not, he's a bad guy. And but supposedly in this storyline he gave 25K. Katie Holmes, which was his love interest in Dawson's Creek, I guess, because I didn't even know where she came from. So she's from Dawson's Creek too, I guess. And she was his love person. And so she's paying for his funeral. And then there's some other actors who have worked with him who like him, and they're all giving these big donations and stuff. But anyways, and lots of people apparently, because now they're up over $1 million. So that's there's a lot of families who are being left with nothing. I mean, this is somebody who had knew people who had money, but there's lots of families out there. I've seen so many like single dads that are their wife passed and left them with some with 1, 2, 3, 4 kids, and so they're having to work. They don't have any money. There's lots of women who are being left with a bunch of kids and they don't have any money, and so I'm sure they'd all just be like, $1 million, yeah, I'll make that work. I could figure out how to invest and keep that rolling for a long time. So anyways, it's weird. It's just everything is so weird. I feel bad for her, obviously. And, they went through all their money and his work, but there's a lot of people who are married to people who are hard workers too. And a lot of people would think like, well, acting, that's not hard work. Go out and dig a ditch, man. So, I don't know. It's all just a bunch of stuff just going on. And it's all just for our evaluation, for us to understand and look at things in broader perspective so we can become deeper ourselves. to have more compassion and stuff. Like I have compassion for this lady, then I also have a lot of compassion for the people who aren't getting $1 million and they're in the same kind of crisis, because it's not just isolated incident with them. It's happening all over the world. Tons and tons of people are going through the same thing. So, so anyway, it'd be nice if everybody could get the same kind of GoFundMe, but whatever. It's just like, but that's the thing that the one lady was talking about. How is it so great to be a millionaire when it doesn't do you any good? You still die. You still leave your family with nothing. But it's flipping over for this lady, and she's getting back. So, anyways, but it's part of that story, and all the stories are a part of us, of wherever you are. Is depends on, if you can just observe, if you can stand back and just observe as things go, or you get really caught up in all of the things because there's a lot going on. And but yeah, there's more coming out on uh, the mad scientists behind. It wasn't just dark mail. It was like a crazy mad scientist. It wasn't just, what they consume and stuff. And whatever. I mean, that's going to, that one guy, he's trying to, right on a podcast, push the ethics of it, well, you eat this and you eat that. And why can't you eat this? Like, yeah, I mean, everybody's going to have to come to their own thing, but I think that's where there's going to be tons of people are going to be like, well, I'm not eating anything that's alive. Like, so it was going to be a big changeover in our society over what it is that we consume, which I think is even going to have to do with the holiday consumption and how they just keep us from one after another. Right now, it's even, what's the one in New Orleans? Mardi Gras. I think it's Mardi Gras. I thought Mardi Gras was first at the beginning of March. And I don't know if it was Fat Tuesday or whatever, but I keep seeing lives of being down there, and there's like the parades. There's just like drunk people off the streets. There's so much stuff in the streets. It's just as like, when you look at it, it's just obscene in consumption, and it's just is wild and out of control, and that is what we're going away from. But there's still people all playing that, but we're going away from that kind of world, that kind of society. We're going much more into a society of purity, and not, we don't need to go out and get wasted and act crazy and stuff. We're gonna be, it's just gonna be different. And also the guy, the astral projector guy I saw this morning. So he said he's new to it. So he wanted to do disclosure. Like, if you're going to start, just be aware that you can get out there and be too far from your body, and you can, not wake back up. So DIE. So he and he wanted to go to the ice wall. He wanted to go see what's going on with the ice wall. And so he said, okay, because I'm thinking about the map guy too. Okay, so I gotta think. Okay, so so he went to the wall, and he said this being came out and stopped him, so he didn't get to go as far as he wanted. And they said, you can't go any further. And he's like, why? And they said, because there's like more you need to know or something. There's you just can't go further, because it's our vibration is our passport. And so and we're going through an elevation of our vibration, which is going to open all these places up. But for people to be like, well, I'm going to go now, is because there's a lot of people even physically trying to go over there and see. It's like, because it really is a wall that is our, because we're in a bubble, so we're in a containment. And so the being that he was talking to, he started asking him what it was and stuff, because he said it was really weird looking, how it looked like this really muscular body, but its head was down here. So it didn't really have a head. It just had like eyes. And he showed two different pictures of one. And one was this muscular body with these two big eyes right here. And the other one had like where you would think like if you took a head and you flattened it and then you put it on your chest. And so, and then his eyes were like right here. And so he was asking it. So he started talking to this being. And he said the being was super, super nice, and it was very spiritual. It's like a spiritual warrior kind of being or something. And it was very kind and giving him lots of information. And he said that, I'm trying to think of what he called itself. They were called blasphemy, no, blamery, something. And I can't remember what they were called. And he said, well, why don't you have a head? And he said, because these other beings called the Sates or Sapphire, something, I can't remember the name of them either, is they were cutting off everybody's. And so we evolved so that they couldn't, ours. So we evolved to, ours are down here, so they can't do that, because that's what they were doing to all of the beings at that time, was off with their heads. And so he said they couldn't ours because we evolved into this more protective way that we are, that they can't harm us. And he said, and we also have a very thick chest plate so that they can't do anything to harm them. And so they are like guards, and they guard certain realms. That's why they're guarding the ice wall, so that not that people can just go through, because he said the where he was like a gate. Well, I know that there's openings and that there's a gate because there's beings that come into it. And he said that these are the known lands, which that's what I was just thinking about a second ago, because this other guy who's always showing the bigger map is he's always talking about we live in the known lands. That's what we're called, the known lands. And then there's like the reptile lands, the Anunnaki. He goes through all these different ones. And when you look at the map, it's like we're in a circle and a circle and a circle and a circle and a circle. There's all these like circles and circles and circles and inside circles and circles and circles. And those are all the different lands. And even when you're looking at that map, it looks like, it would be like a flat space, but really it's not a flat space. The way I see it, it's dimensional. It's like, so all of these different realms, they're all around. That's why I think that they try to come up with like space and planets are out there and stuff. But it's really dimensions of vibration. And so it's like, you could flatten it out, but you have to bring everything down and spread it out instead of how it really is. Just like how where we are is different than what they tell us. And so it's more like that. It's more dimensional. So it's more like things are all over the place, but it's not like way out in space. It is traveling through portals into other dimensions, but you have to be able to meet the vibration that you're trying to travel to. And that's what we're going through right now, is kind of like I see it kind of like a passport and getting a bunch of stamps. We're getting all these stamps in our passport right now to open us up because we are becoming more compassionate and elevating ourselves. So it's like stamping our passport so we have more, where we can enter more places and we can go all over. So we aren't isolated into this trap of where we have been, but the trap has also been about learning and growing. For us, then there's the people who are in control. They don't learn and grow, but they try and manipulate. That's why they do all this science projects and stuff, because they're trying to manipulate and they're trying to take from us because we don't know what we're giving. And which, this is one thing too I was thinking about, is because I say stuff that it always sounds really crazy. And the thing is when you are talking crazy, even if it's the truth, if people don't believe it, you still look crazy. So even though I get all sorts of confirmation, like I say things, I get all sorts of confirmation that I know it's true. So to me, it builds up my confidence in what it is that I understand and see in my communication and stuff. But when I go and tell other people, it just sounds crazy. So I still sound crazy. So I was just thinking about that, about how weird it is, because yeah, I even got confirmation over what I had said. I talked about like weight and how to lose weight and stuff like that, and the stuff that I had said. Well, I just got a confirmation the other day from ChatGPT, because they get people really caught up in the physical. Well, you got to diet, you got to exercise this much, you got to do this, you got to do that. And no, it's stuff you hold on to. It's like you got to figure out how to let go of stuff. And that's it's more like that. Like the chat goes through and explain it, but I explained this stuff, years ago. And so I'm always getting, and I'm not just making stuff up. It's just like, I don't know how to explain it. It just comes to me. I can just see it. It's like I can start talking about something and it just starts being like information coming in. And so then I just repeat the information, and because some of the stuff like you don't even like think about, but then there's all these things happening that brings this stuff up, and then I see it and then I talk about it. But yeah, it's weird, because even though I can understand like, oh, this is right, this is right, this is right, still when I start saying things about this world or whatever, I start telling people like stuff about this world, or how do you know? It's like, you just always sound crazy. So whatever, it's just a big fat whatever. So anyways, but I can see, like I get all these confirmations all the time. So, but I'm not saying you have to believe what I say, because it's more important for you to figure out what you believe than to just believe what I believe. So that's everybody's on their own journey. I can just share and tell you what I believe and what I see. And definitely these people, they are trying to use science. So it's like science and spiritual. And they're trying to use this to access this. But where you access this is through your spirit. But I guess they're lacking. Theirs is decrepit or something. It's all dried up like a prune. I don't know. But you got to feed back into your spirit. You got to, pump it back up. Listen to it. Give it relevant. Give it, there's a bunch of words coming to my mind. Relevance, mercy. You got to give it respect. You got to start connecting to your spirit and listening to it, and stop listening with it's like your eyes and your ears and your mouth are about the three-dimensional. And when you are caught up in, my brain and the logical side, then you're caught up really in the programs and indoctrination that they are trying to hold you complicit in, hold you in it, so that you are not connected to your spirit, because your spirit is your real guidance and your real knowledge. And so anyways, but so that guy was talking about that we're in the known lands, and that other guy was talking about this is the known lands, and then outside of the ice wall, because that is our containment, and then we have the firmaments, we have this like bubble, and then outside of that is other spaces, and there's portal accesses through, so that you can go into all these other ones. So there's other beings that have come here. That's why I say, like, there's a lot of colonizers here. There's lots of different, because out on all these different planes of existence, these different islands, are different tribes, say. So different beings come from different places as travelers and come to the known lands, and then they set up their territories with their tribes and stuff. But that's why we have all these different people who look different from each other, even though in their freaking stupid stuff, which I questioned it always. It was like, I don't understand how close you live to the equator. That makes it how what you look like. That doesn't make any sense. And so that's what they try to push us to believe. It's however close to the equator, that makes what you look like. No, depends on what land you come from out there, what tribes you're coming from. And even that one I talked about the other day where that lady found the history of her family, and the grandpa or whatever was talking about, he was Cherokee, but their tribe had come through, they passed the ice wall into the lands and had they'd come here because that's what most of these people are. Most of the people are colonizers. They've all come to the known lands, and so we're all colonizers. When it comes down to it, some of us come from labs already, but the beings that are here are all colonizers except for the original ones, and those ones were also lab created because they were more of more animalistic, more like, just animals here enjoying their life. And then they got tweaked in the lab in order to create a being that was more submissive, more could follow orders and do work. And so they created, the slaves for this place. And a lot of the tribes, a lot of the colonizers that came here just came and were setting up, just like setting up camp. They were just setting up their own worlds of existence. And so they don't all have anything about the original beings, which I've said before. I think that when it comes down to it, I think the Aborigines are the ones that are the original Earthlings, I think, but I don't know for sure. But that's what I feel, is the Aborigines are the closest relative to the original people. And then everybody else is colonizers or comes from labs. So that's how I see it. But anyways, when everybody has these big things about colonizers, but that's been the argument, or the fight for a long time has been over freedom and land, and some beings know know the value of the land and value it as a space, and others try and raise the value as monetary. And so there's always the two opposing forces, because there's the spiritual connected to the land, and then there's the ones that don't see any value other than what they can take it and then say it's theirs and then make somebody else pay for it. So, but we're going to go back because we've played that system out. And so we're going to go back to the other one where it is the land isn't owned the same. I think it's going to be, even when we have land, it's going to be, your land that you are allowed, it's like your family land or something, but you are the keeper of the land, and you have to be connected to the land. And but it's not going to be like you own the land. The way that you would have it is like your family would always be able to, this is their space, your family, your community, whatever, however it's going to be. But but it isn't like, where I'm going to sell this land or something. I don't know how it's, if people, I don't know. I feel like it's not going to be the same thing of trying to own the earth. I don't know, because there's also not going to be so much over us. Like, even people are starting to recognize, like, oh, we're about to not have any government. They're about to all be in big trouble. And there's been this big sting operation happening. So I don't know how it's all going to fall apart. I just know it is all going to fall apart. And then we're the ones who are going to put it back together. And so it's all going to come from us and what it is that we want. So, and I don't know, our relationship is going to change with our space, the earth, the known lands, the whatever, these lands that we are going to develop to exist in. And it's going to be a more open, friendly atmosphere. And it's going to be more connected. So we're going to be a lot more connected. But I just see things like changing, like, you know, eating things that are living, and to own the land and then profit like that. It's like the land, if you give to the land will give back. It'll give back to you in food or give back to you in whatever. And that doesn't mean you can't sell what you have gotten if you have more than you need. But it's not going to be the same thing as like this destroying, the you know, taking from the earth and not giving back. That's the whole reason why the earth is elevating as well, is because it has been being treated in a more abusive kind of situation. And that's why we're all kind of waking up to the abusive situations in our lives. And that's why we all have to face, like, what is it we really want for ourselves? How do we really want to live? You know, does it make sense to spend your whole life working and never being living for yourself? It's all about just the work, 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 which is kind of weird now that I say that, because that's such a heavy thing that's going on in our world. And to me, that's what it feels like when I talk about with the dog stuff. It just feels like it's my job. It's just like my work. It's just like I'm running a freaking not just a handicap dog thing, but like a whole thing. Like Max is like so time consuming, and I'm just like, is this even gonna heal? Is this gonna get better? Is this supposed to be just like the new normal for me? Is this um is it gonna get worse? Is it gonna just all of a sudden you can't breathe? Like I don't know if like, man, tonsil surgery is I don't know, because we're not supposed to be cutting stuff out of us. That means we're not supposed to be cutting stuff out of them either. And in that doctor show that I just watched, yeah, it's like you can have bad things happen. You just cut things out. You know, is that his storyline? That's supposed to be what he takes him out? And I have no idea, man. I just don't even know. I'm waiting, just like I've said, you know, I'm waiting for the truth too. Some kind of truth we're all waiting on. And, you know, the truth of what we're here to do, what we're doing, what is our role, what are we here to experience. So, and then today, the 14th, which is going to be all about, you know, all these people. Oh, there's already people. Oh, look what I'm doing for Valentine's. Look what I'm doing for Valentine's. And, you know, I mean, I think that we shouldn't need a day that they tell us, this is the day we focus on love. I think we need to do it every day. We need to always focus on loving each other and being kind to each other. Not just because it's one day a year that they tell us to. It's like, so I think that we need to become more focused on love, more focused on accepting, and, you know, all these things happening. Just like I said, it's just try and, you know, stay in your seat, just observe, watch it all going down, watch it all blowing apart, watch it all being exposed, and then and do the best you can not to get too caught up in any of the stories. And but if something really draws you in, it's probably something about your healing, something that you need to really work on. But you got to go deeper into yourself. Like, it's just sad. Like, this fella, you know, he's only like 48 years old or something, and dying from that. When you look at it from the spiritual perspective of it's something he's holding on to, but people aren't being taught. They're not being taught how to let go of stuff, so they're just getting sick. And in this place, That's what it feeds off of. So, feeds off of sickness and sadness and uh, depression and anxiety and all these things. And so, and, that's one thing is like where you got to kind of start coming into uh, the realization, the acceptance of other beings. Not all of them have heads, apparently. And right now, I saw a guy yesterday, and he was in Washington State, which I had seen ships in Washington State. And there's, I'm sure people in Appalachia, where there's mountains, there's usually craft. And so there's a lot of craft out there, and there's more and more being seen, more being over the cities and stuff. But so this guy, he was out hiking and he got video of it. And he said that he had seen somebody else having it, but he said, this is Washington State. So I'm not sure where the other one was that he was talking about. It was Oregon, or wherever. And here they're masking our whole sky, like to see stuff, but you can hear things. And with this thing, he said it made no sound at all, and you could see through it. So it was like a plasma vessel. You could see the shape of the vessel, but it went up against a mountain. You could see the mountain through it. It was trippy looking, but he was showing it for a while. It was going all over, but he was so he's hiking and he sees it, and then it starts dropping things out of it. He said they're like these big silver balls, and they're dropping him out. And he said, I've seen this be happening in other places. That's why he was like, this is Washington State. This is where this one's happening. But I've already seen this happening in other people's videos. So he said that, so it drops out these silver ball things, and then it kind of hovers around there, and then it moves over there, and then it moves over here, and then it takes off. But it was wild looking. So there's more that are being seen, and then you also though have people who are jumping on stories and then doing a bunch of AI and stuff just to create confusion. But to me, just know like that stuff is real. Like whether or not that actual one is real, I don't know, but that kind of thing is real. And so, and they do want to keep you in a state of confusion, in a state of fear. And there's nothing to fear, even, where you would see a being whose eyeballs are down here, or he's got a whole face down here. It'd be like, oh my God, it's a monster. I'm so scared. But that guy said it was the nicest beings. And he said that the being was like, so he was talking to it and asking a bunch of questions, and it was answering all his questions, and it was super nice. And then he said there was like this gong or this bell or something that went off. And when that happened, then that being said that they had to go, and they pushed back on his chest like that or something. They touched his chest. And he said when they did that it zoomed him. He said it was like pushing him into his body, and it pushed him like that, and he went, and he said he was just like slammed into his body, and he woke up, and he said that he was just drenched in sweat, where he said he had to get up and get a towel even to dry off, and his wife was like, what is going on? Why are you so sweaty? So anyways, but that's what it is to be in other realms. You're going to meet up with beings that you think of as being scary, monsters and stuff like that. But, if you want to try and figure out how to astral project, but to me, it's always seemed like, like you're a turtle out there without a shell. And so I prefer to have, if we're going to come here and we come in with being birthed into some type of a spacesuit or something, then it seems like there's a reason for it. And it does give you a barometer of your environment, and it helps you to understand your needs or whatever, if you even really have needs. That's a whole other thing. Everything is just another step and another step. So that's why we're all on our own journey on different steps. So yeah, I mean, do we even need to breathe? Do we even need food? Do we even need it? All we need to do is be true to ourselves and understand ourselves, and really try and figure out what and who and what we are. That's what the whole journey of the soul is all about. Going through experience after experience to understand itself. And so we're at a point in time now is where we're trying to wrap it up. We're trying to really come together with wherever level we're at of understanding ourselves, in this elevating ourselves, getting more in touch with our higher power, our higher self, and which is a higher vibration. So getting more in touch with that vibration and remembering so that we can go to a place that's not so dark, not so heavy, not so hellacious. So, and there's so many horrible things going on every day, man. So, anyways, but the focus, needs to always be on love and figuring out how to love yourself and where do you want to go and what do you want out of life, and try and, always, whatever's going on, always try and pull yourself back to that, focus. And so, and there's a lot to learn when you're learning how to love yourself. There's a lot to let go of. And so that's a big part of the journey, is learning how to let go of things and learning how to love yourself, accept yourself, and be yourself. So learn how to love yourself, learn how to love everybody else, because it starts with you. And then you got to move on to everybody else. You got to forgive and let go of things and accept people for who they are. And it's just a whole process. And then also in the process, you got to learn how to be able to focus on, be able to see things, but don't get too focused on it. Be able to zoom in and zoom out. Be able to pull yourself free and not be consumed by all of the pain and suffering in this world. So it's a big job. Learn how to love yourself, learn how to love everybody else, and learn how to have the day you want to have. And so we'll see. Now we're on Saturday. I can't even believe how fast time is moving. And oh yeah, on the fire horse thing. So if you're gonna follow along with the zodiac, Chinese zodiac thing, like there's big all the talk of the fire horse, but I saw somebody talking about on the New Year day of that. So on the 17th, that don't wear black or white, don't cut your hair. You have certain things that are better to eat, and noodles are for something, oranges are prosperity, dumplings, and the wear red. So wearing red brings in prosperity, and there was some more things. So, but don't cut your hair. I can't remember. I think it was don't wash your hair or cut it, because then you are washing away and cutting away your prosperity. So anything you're going to do like that, do it the day before, but not the 17th. And then don't wear black or white, because that is mourning and it's negative energy or whatever. So, but red is the energy of prosperity. So you want to wear red. And so I'll be wearing red that day. So, and I've got an orange and I've got some pasta. So I'm going to make some noodles, some peanut butter. Like I like the noodles with the peanut butter stuff. And that's why I wanted the pepper and the cucumber, because you can make these other salads to go with it. And it's really good. I made the one, I think I forgot to tell you guys, it was so good. It was, so you take a red onion, my stomach is growling, and you take a red onion and an apple, and you cut them up into little slices, and then you take the onion and the apple, I may have told y'all, and you put it in a big bowl with water and white vinegar and salt, and you let it sit for like 10 minutes. Then you pour the water out, and then you pour in the sesame oil, the sesame seeds, cilantro, let's see, soy sauce, and a little bit of sugar. And then I added also like pepper, a hot pepper in it. Seems like I added something else. But anyways, so, but it tasted really, really good. It was like this kind of like a Chinese kind of flavored salsa. It was really good. And then I'm going to do one kind of like with the red pepper and the cucumber too. And so I'm going to make those up and then have those. And then I love the noodles with peanut butters, peanut butter sauce on them. They're so good. So anyways, yeah, if you're going to follow along with Chinese New Year, then those are some of the things that you do. So anyways, but we'll see now. We're already in the energy of this Pluto trend, whatever, this big energy. And there's definitely a lot of stuff going on. There's big solar flashes happening out of the sun. There's a lot of things happening that create a lot of energy. There's sounds in the sky. There's crazy skies going. And the Nibiru lady said that they are, that's what they're trying to cover, is because there's all these ones merging and they don't want us to see. And so, anyways, there's a lot going on. there's a lot. There's plenty. And the wintertime is going so fast. There's so much going on. So, anyways, we'll see how this day goes and we'll talk about tomorrow. And I did order a laptop and it's supposed to come tomorrow. So I may be doing a different setup. We'll see. It kept telling me that, oh yeah, you can do a podcast on this. So we'll see how it works. We'll see. It says that I can do this same thing, so we'll see how it works. I'll try it out. So, anyways, but nevertheless, or whatever happens, we'll talk about it tomorrow. So I'll talk to you later. Bye.